We are live.
Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. I was looking at an email I got. One of my eBay orders is delivered.
Oh. More breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. We had some breaking news in the podcast. You'll have to wait till it comes out.
Yeah.
Breaking news about us. So I got some door panel screws for a Chevy truck GMC 1947 through 1950 something. I'm doing a little work on my 1948 Chevy truck. And so one of the door handles was sagging. Like, so you'd shut the door and the door handle is one of those you turn like that.
Yeah.
And it was sagging down. So I took the whole thing apart because I want to fix that and make it. And it was a spring broke in there. And now I'm like, oh, I'll replace this. I'll replace this door panel. I'll replace this, all these screws. I'll replace this and this. And I'm just trying to. And I buy everything off eBay, very, very cheap. I'm pretty cheap. But I'm having fun. Anyways.
All true. Cheap and you're having fun.
I
Cheap
love
and fun.
it.
That's a good combo.
So anyways, this is the Ask Junior portion of the show. You guys are just now climbing into the YouTube channel at Dirty Mo Media. We appreciate all the support for everything you guys do for our social media and everything you do for Dirty Mo Media, all the support of the podcast that we put out. So thanks for all that. And obviously, thanks to Xfinity. They're the ones that promote or support this part of the podcast. The Ask Junior part is presented to you by Xfinity. They're a proud premier partner of NASCAR. Try saying that 3 times fast. And their Xfinity X5 is incredible. I'm a customer. I went and signed up, and I'm a paying customer. And before they even knew it, and I love it. So we appreciate everything they do for not only us but the sport. They the big sponsor in the Xfinity series, and that's no small feat. It takes a lot of effort to make those things happen, and so we appreciate everything they do. But you guys have been sending questions in to Xfinity Racing on Twitter. Leah is compiled her favorites, so if yours doesn't get picked out, it is Leah's responsibility for that. So,
or just do better.
Exactly.
Do better.
You can reach out. You can reach out through Twitter to Leah and tell her, "Hey, I've sent in 5 questions in the last 5 weeks. Not one has been picked."
I get that already.
Well,
oh
Don't
wait now.
encourage
so
them.
you guys now know that she sees your responses and she reads them and she chooses to either reply or not. It's her prerogative whether she really wants to engage.
Good grief.
What? What am I doing?
Poor Leah.
All right,
It's
Leah.
true, though.
I'm going to go delete my Twitter account.
What? No, I'm just saying. Those are all true things I just said. What?
Hey, remember when we asked questions on this?
I used to be
Should-
where she
should
was.
we-
I used
yeah.
to be where she was, though.
Should we
so
do
I
that?
get it.
See, listen, now we got a little personality.
Should we,
here.
should we
Yes.
get to
Now
that part?
We're just trying
Where
to
we-
drag it out
where
of
we
you.
Just
ask-
trying to get you going.
What gets a
I'm-
rise
I'm
out
ready.
Let's go.
All right, we're getting a ton of questions about the next gen test you're doing tomorrow. Tell us how that came about and what your thoughts on.
Yeah, so I've been wanting to test the next gen car whenever, if that's a possibility at some point, and just kind of keep my ear to the ground about what's going on with the tests and who's testing, and maybe I could climb in this car or that car. But I got NASCAR reached out and asked me if I'd be interested in driving the car at Bowman Gray. This is a test to try to prepare for that Clash race they're having in L.A. at the Coliseum.
Yep.
So, all right, I said, sure, I'll drive the car. They called me again a couple weeks ago and said, all right, we got Tony Stewart, you, and Clint Boyer. Tony Stewart's going to drive the car and do the tire test, all the functions that they need, probably a couple 40-lap runs for Goodyear. And when Tony's done, me and Clint will jump in the car and drive it a few laps here and there. I'm expecting to run anywhere from 5 to 20 laps max, and probably no more than that. I'd really love to drive the car at Richmond or a little bit larger racetrack to really get an understanding of what the car feels like and get a little more knowledge from me for when I go work the booth and things like that for next year. So hoping to get that opportunity, and maybe this will create some potential opportunities down the road for me to drive it. So anyway, I'm not expecting anything out of it. I'm just happy to go help out and maybe provide whatever feedback. I'm sure Tony's going to have all the feedback they're going to need. and it'll be great to see Clint. It's always fun to hang out with him. I think the number one thing on my mind is I've never been to Bowman Gray, and not only am I going to get to drive around the track, and I'm going to just see this historical racetrack. I got a lot of respect for the place and the history and how long it's been around, and have always wanted to go there. So this is going to be a great chance for me just to go check it out.
Next question from Brandon Hall. I just watched a video of you and Hank Jones trading bumper paint in the Legends cars from when you were younger. That was awesome to see. My question is, did you enjoy cutting your teeth in the Legends cars growing up?
So I did enjoy driving the Legends cars. It was a little frustrating, though, and I'll give you a little backstory on my car. My car was the third Legends car ever built, and the first Legends cars had a 900cc engines. The first one and the second one had 900cc motors. Mine got an 1100, I believe, and then the fourth cars and everyone after that was 200, 300 more cc's, like more power. And so the car I drove wasn't very good on the straightaway, and it was frustrating on the dirt tracks mostly because those guys would just go faster. When we go to Talladega Short Track and run, they were pretty much wide open, right? And they would just slowly drive away. There's nothing I could do about my line or anything I could do in the corner to make up for the distance I was losing on just pure speed. So the car was a little frustrating to drive, but I ran it for a year. Originally, my dad owned it, and then I think Hank bought it. And when I was racing Hank and ran into him and won that race that night, Hank was the owner of the car. And it was my first and only win in a Legends race, and I was running street stocks at the same time at Concord Motor Speedway with my brother Kerry. And so that night we had a street stock race, and I ran that Legends race, walked over to drove the car over to the hauler, gooseneck trailer where Hank and everybody else is at. Hank is mad, won't hardly talk to me, because he's trying to win his first Legends race, and he was sitting there leading that whole race. And I said, you know what, I'll let you have the trophy. I said, I'm going to, or it was the cash, one or the other.
Said, yeah.
I think I gave him the cash and kept the trophy. And and then we left, me and my friend Walter, who was with me, Rick Boss' nephew, we left and went to Concord to run the street stock car. And those were some fun times, man. 16 years old and driving my little S10 truck around everywhere. But the Legends cars were, I think the Legends cars are a great way. They're expensive. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. They are not cheap. But they're a great way for a driver to understand power over weight, because they don't weigh much, but they got a ton of power. And they have these little street tires. I mean, there's things that you can do, obviously, to the brakes and the tires and to manipulate grip into the way the car drives and handles. I don't know exactly how tight the rules are these days, but it's still hard to get that power down to the racetrack, and they are a handful. And I think that's great for a driver as far as trying to learn how to get around the racetrack fast without driving like an idiot. Just using way too much power and over braking and over driving corners. You're not going to be successful in a Legends car unless you're just right. And I like that about it. And it teaches these young guys who get into the Legends cars racing craft and driving and trying to stay out of trouble. They don't have fenders, and they run into each other and break suspension. And it's a great way to, if you can afford it, it's a great way to, teach these young kids how to drive.
Next question from Justin Bates. What's it really like when you have to go to the NASCAR hauler after a race? We've heard for years it isn't fun, but can you go into a little detail what it's truly like?
Me and Letarte, Dale Jarrett, and all of us were having this conversation on the way home from Kansas last night. Most conversations, or all the stories that I've heard and my own experience, it goes like this. They call you to the hauler. You go up in there. And Mike Helton walks in. You start to open your mouth and plead your case, and he says immediately, I'm going to do all the talking, and you can keep your mouth shut. and when he's doing the talking, it's intimidating as hell. It's like he's like the Dale Earnhardt of NASCAR officials. So it's kind of scary, and all you want is to get out of there. And so mid ass chewing, you're like, I just can't wait till this is over.
Does he raise his voice?
Of course, Mike.
So it's not a dumb question because like he always seems kind of calm and cool.
No.
Nobody knows what the intimidating thing is. I think that does he like yell? Does he
Yes.
throw things? Does he
Yes.
cuss you out?
Yeah.
All those things?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is okay. It's intimidating.
There was one conversation that Dale Jarrett was telling me about how Jarrett said something that he shouldn't have said, and Helton slammed one of the cabinet shut, and the door just flew off the hinges.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. This is the stuff we never had any idea was happening.
Yeah. So I'll promise you, I wouldn't know what it would be like today because Mike's not in that position anymore. There are other people that are tasked to handle those silly problems that we bring into the garage. But when Mike was there, you did not want to get called to the trailer. You were terrified of it, and you knew what was coming. You knew you weren't going to go in there and convince them otherwise. And their attitude, which I always felt was a good one, is this NASCAR was here long before you were, and it'll be here long after you're gone. And you can fall in line and do what we expect of you, or you won't be around long. And they made that clear, man, even to me. So it was scary. So, and it was Helton. It was the main ingredient that made it that way. I've been in other haulers, Xfinity haulers and so forth, where he wasn't part of that experience, and it was a little different. It was a little less scary. But Helton really ran the show.
Next question from Michael. Everyone talks about your father's most famous wins, but what's a race win from your dad that you think goes under the radar?
Man, that's so under the radar Earnhardt win. Yeah, I guess I would look at. I guess the best way to look at this would be what seasons are kind of under the radar. So, 1984, his first year kind of back with Richard Childress. They had some wins, and I don't think people knew what was coming. I don't think people knew what that team would develop into in 1986, 87, and beyond. So they're winning a couple races in 1984, and I think people were overlooking them. And his wins with Bud Moore were probably, he had struggled in 81, and he went to, he quit the team he was with and went to RCR in the middle of 81, and then he was a backside of the top 10 guy driving Richard's cars the remainder of 1981. I think people had not written Dad off, but I think, he came in, wins the Rookie of the Year, wins the championship in 1980. And in his mind, he's here. He's arrived. He's there. He's the man. He's going to be one of the men. He's right in the mix of Richard Petty, Darrell Waltrip, David Pearson, Neil Bond, and all those guys. And then he goes in 81 and has such a difficult year, and he's driving equipment that's not top 5 equipment. And I think Richard Petty, Darrell Waltrip, and all those guys that were a little concerned with him at first weren't worried about him anymore. And then he goes to Bud Moore's cars, which they won races, but they blew a lot of motors. Bud's cars were good, not perfect. They weren't Junior Johnson's cars, and so they didn't intimidate anyone. Those cars. The cars were good, but they didn't concern most of the field. So I think 83 and 84, those 2 years, there were some wins in there that I think are kind of overlooked in his career.
All right, next question from Brian Wiltshire. Can you give us some of your favorite Halloween memories, both childhood and grown up?
Well, I just wanted to be a football player every year when I was little, so I got a couple pictures of me at 6, 7, 8 years old, just wearing the same thing. Like I had this football uniform. It was a white helmet, white pants, red jersey, no number, just the generic football player. And I wore it like 3 years in a row. I was like, I don't want to be nothing else. I got it. It's up in my closet. Football player.
I'm gonna be wearing this in the pros, so I might as well get used to it.
So, yeah, I love being a football player. Walking around in shoulder pads. Heck, I mean, it's a great excuse to walk in shoulder pads. When I got older, I think my memories, we always felt like we needed, this will be a great story, we always felt like we needed to be destructive on Halloween. When I turned 16, 17, 18, 19, I lived across the street from DEI in a trailer with my brother Kerry. He moved out. When he moved out, I got, my buddies would come around and we'd hang out. And on Halloween one night, I lived right across the street from DEI. Dad had 300 acres of property. And never on any other night during the year would I ever even think of doing this out of fear and how dangerous it is. But on Halloween night, we got a bunch of eggs, and we jumped the fence to get into Dad's property. We walked all the way across 300 acres in the dark to the other side of the fence, and there was a roadway. Jumped that fence and hid behind bushes and threw eggs at cars.
Good Lord.
Yeah, what?
Y'all are suicidal.
Well, I've had eggs thrown at me.
No, I'm not talking about the eggs. I'm talking about the hopping of the fence.
Yeah. What?
I know what happens to people when they get on that property.
We were into that. We were into egging cars and playing mailbox baseball and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So, I was driving down the road one day in the middle of the night, and an egg hit my truck, and I just had to smile. It's a good shot. I really appreciate it.
You had it coming.
I was like, man, I deserve that.
Yeah.
But we did it basically. The throwing the eggs at cars was fun for sure because you hit one and you got to go. You run or you hide in the bushes or whatever, and you're scared that they're going to come back, and find you or what's going on. And then we had to get back across the property in the middle of the night, and you don't know, what Dad's got out there to detect, what's happening on his property. And I'm telling you, if you climb the fence to get in. And he would in 2 days he'd be going around asking, "Who's climbed my fence?"
Yeah, he noticed something.
It's wire right here.
Yeah,
somebody had their shoe in there.
Is that where you get it from?
No, dude, I've heard that. That's amazing too.
Dude, he would know, even if it was in the middle of the woods in the corner somewhere where nobody would go. He'd be like, "How do you know? How'd you find that?" Crazy. So I was nervous after the fact, and we only did that one time. But man, what an adrenaline rush, man. I don't promote it, and I'd be mad if my kids did it, but it was a rush.
Imagine Isla
egging cars.
doing that.
Oh, I'd be so mad at her. And then we played mailbox baseball a lot, not on just Halloween, but and a buddy of mine cut his hand. We were using a wooden bat, and the bat split. And half of it went into his hand, and that was in the mailbox baseball. We'd been doing that for several years. I had the red plastic mailbox, barn-shaped mailboxes.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I had the sliding glass door open on my little S10. I was probably about 16, and a buddy of mine hit one of those, and part of that plastic came in and gave me a welt on the neck. I was like, man, I deserve that.
You deserve a lot more than that.
What?
Mailbox festival. That's just messed up. If somebody did that to your mailbox today.
I've had people hit my mailbox.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that a federal crime?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh my God.
That says it
Is
all.
this past the statute of limitations?
I hope.
You know how we surprised you with your birthday a couple weeks ago? Well, today it's police officers here to arrest you.
Well, yeah. I'll buy some mailboxes. We weren't that good at it. I'll just say that.
There were some strikes.
Yes. One time,
he missed.
Hank. Yeah. One time, me and Hank Parker Jr. He missed the box and hit the bed of my S10 pickup truck at the end of the baseball bat. Gave it a nice little dent. I mean, you're gonna play stupid games. Stupid things are gonna happen.
All right, I think that's it for today.
Oh, wow. You're going to
man.
end on the criminal?
I mean,
Dale Jr.
And on a high note,
The criminal history of
Yeah.
Dale? That's what we're going to end up?
I don't think we can. I don't think we can top that.
Here, I got something we can end on.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Oh,
we've
my
sent,
goodness.
we've
Another
sent,
surprise.
we have something
surprises.
that, do we want to say who sent this?
A
For our
fan from
studio.
up there sent this.
Ooh.
Okay, for our studio.
You'll recognize it.
Cross-track access permitted to this individual upon.
Apparently,
from
this,
Pocono.
Hilarious.
this is the Pocono sign. This is the sign that Pocono put up after your whole deal.
Oh my God. I
Um,
love it.
Yeah, so that's a good studio
Man, it's a
piece.
really
studio
good
gift.
quality.
Yeah,
You look good in that picture,
It's
Dale.
the picture is high def.
yeah.
No pixelated
No,
JPEGs here, man.
you would think it'd be like just throw them together, but man, they really scanned a nice little photo there.
Yep.
I love it. So, yeah, I guess the backstory is I had a little run-in with a gate guard, and he wanted me to show my hard card, and it was buried in the bottom of my backpack, but he was like, he knew who I was. And I was like, well, you know who I am. Do I really got to dig for this card? But so we had a conversation about it.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's
There
cool,
you go.
man.
We'll
I
put
do
that
like
somewhere.
it. I don't think we need to put it right there, but yeah,
Yeah. All right.
very cool.
Can we do one more thing? Everybody
yeah.
wants to see more of your shirt.
Oh,
that's a
I
hot
do.
topic on. There we go.
Matthew, you can explain what this is.
Yes, I'll get. Dale right now is showing off his beautiful vintage Cherokee Speedway shirt. Cherokee Speedway in Gaffney, South Carolina, right near the Giant Peach dirt late model track, very well known in the area, and it's badass vintage. There you go. To Dale
Yeah.
Jr.
I think Matthew got me this shirt.
Nope.
No, you didn't. Okay.
No.
I got it some other way.
I can't take credit for something that
All
good.
right. Well, I love it. Yeah. I was wearing it early this morning and ran into a guy. He's like, I live right next to that place, man. I've never seen more fighting in my life.
The place,
And they
hey,
let
that
you-
sign, you know the sign that
And they let you drink beer. He's like, I've seen guys with driver suits tied around their waist walk up to the concession stand and get a cup of Dixie cup, or solo cup of beer and walk away.
Mike, this place has a sign above the gate. Like Dale's been there before. It has a sign above the gate that says, the place your mama warned you about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Go check it out. Cherokee Speedway. Hey, anyways, this
Oh, yeah, this is live.
this
That's
was live. This was one for the books.
Poor Leah.
Man, we really came out of the shell today.
Leah, great job, Leah.
Good job,
Hey,
Leah.
thank you.
I'm glad we
Appreciate
could finally get Leah to snap into it.
That's a segment we'll do. And it could be presented by Xfinity, a proud partner of NASCAR, where Leah, we just try to piss her off every week. Like, just see what we
I
can do
think
to
next
get under her
week
skin.
we should just read her Twitter comments
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
no.
no. No, don't bring that
About-
up
yeah.
right now.
about
it.
No.
She says she gets some feedback.
A little bit. Last week was bad, but that was Matthew's fault.
Matthew, what'd you do?
I sent you an apology.
Oh my goodness. Oh, the F bomb and all that.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Um,
All your listeners,
That's
I'm so
unfortunate.
sorry.
Yeah, my wife liked it.
Thank
If that's
God.
any what is the word?
If it's any solace.
Yeah, solace.
I'm just glad I wasn't fired.
And if it's any solace, a lot of other people did too. Amy wasn't the only one.
Unfortunately, we can't leave those.
Right.
Those,
A lot of kids
curse
loved
words
it.
in
They
there.
learned a lot that day.
Well, I don't know what they're doing on Twitter. Thanks to Xfinity for supporting the Ask Junior part of our show, and they've done a lot for us over the years and continue to do a lot for this podcast. So we got to thank them. And lastly, we got to thank all of you guys for tuning in and doing everything you can to try to raise awareness for our show and sharing it with your friends and telling people how much fun this is. So I always love doing this part of the show because I know even though you're not in the room, I am interacting with a lot of real people out there that really care about what we're doing, and that's the funnest. That's the funnest part. Is that a word?
It sounds good.
Yeah, fine.
That's the
Sure
best
word.
part. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's my word. So it's the best part of the show. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.